Yeah, hi. Today I'm going to show you two-tier architecture in AWS Cloud. So yeah, before starting, let me introduce myself. My name is Dev, and yeah, I've recently completed a course with AKS Cloud, and this is one of the demo I'm going to show here. So now let's start. So as you can see here, so first of all, what do we mean by a two-tier architecture or a three-tier architecture? So in a two-tier architecture, we have a presentation layer and a database layer. So when we say presentation layer, we can think of any application, any user interface, and then the backend layer of the database layer is where the actual data gets stored. So as you can see here on my screen, so I've created a basic two-tier application diagram, and as you can see, users are interacting via the internet. Now in the AWS world, it is hitting in VPC via internet gateway. That internet gateway is connected to a route table and then going on to a public subnet, which we are going to create now, and it is hitting a Flask application. It's a very simple Flask application for an employee app, and I'm just going to show you in an API way how we can retrieve the employees and also add employees via post and get request. So, and in the background, what happens is using this public presentation layer, so we can interact with the private subnets where our database layer, which is on RDS MySQL, is stored. So this is a two-tier architecture where the database layer interacts with the presentation. So in our case, it's a Flask app on EC2 instance and the database on RDS. Okay, so let's start step by step using this. First, what we are going to do is we are going to build the VPC. Okay, so let's go. This is my AWS cloud, and I'll go to the service. So the first service is VPC, and I'll follow along some codes. Let me sign in. Okay, so I'm signed into this. Let me just keep it to US East one just in case. So the first thing what we are going to do is we'll create a VPC. Okay, so now I have some notes which I'm going to refer. So first I will create a VPC with the name employee app VPC. So we are creating it as this, and then I'm putting a IPv4 CIDR as 10.0.0.0.0/16. And we don't need it, we are keeping it as a default, and then we create it. One thing we have to do is, if I go here, I have to enable DNS hostname. Okay, so now my VPC is created. The next thing what I'm going to do is I have to create subnets. I'll create one public subnet and two private subnets, and I'll explain why. So let me create a public subnet with the name. Let me copy it from my notes. And for which VPC? I'm going to do it for employee app VPC. Give it a name. I'll put it into US East 1A, and the CID of 10.0.1.24, and then auto assign IP we will do later. This is my first subnet. Then I'll create a second subnet with private. Let me just check which one I created first. Employee app public. I'll create this as well in the US East one. And here I will select 10.0 as the block. I'll create this. Then I'll create one more, which is the same. This time I'll give it a name private 2. I'll create this one in a US East 1B. Okay. And after creating, I'll explain why. 10.0, 3.0. Okay. So now why we have created two private subnets is when we will create the RDS instance, and when we are going to attach these subnets, it requires by default two private VPCs subnets. So that's why we have to create it. So yeah, that's one of the requirements to work with. That's why we have to go with it. So okay. So now step one is created. So we have VPC and subnets created. Now what we'll do is we'll come here on the internet gateways and create. Let me copy the name from my file. I'll create internet gateway as employee gateway, and I'll attach it to a VPC, and my VPC is 78853. Okay, so now my internet gate is ready. Now I will just create one route table, and I'll name that route table. I'll associate it with the public subnet, employee at public. Associate with the public subnet. Okay. Okay, so our three steps are done. So we have created the VPCs and subnets, then we have created the internet gateway, and we have created route table and attached it with a public subnet. Now next thing what we are going to do is we are going to create security groups in the EC2. So now let's go service. I'll open it in another tab window, and here I will go and check out the security groups I have. These are some old ones. I'll create a new security group, and let me copy the name, employee app VPC, employee app security group. Let's go SG for accessing employee app, and then we are attaching it with our created thing. Then we have to add two inbound rules. One is an HTTP AT and another one is an SSH. So HTTP AT will be for the entire traffic, and SSH is from my IP, but just for testing purposes I'll keep it open for now. Let me add HTTP, and I'll just make it anywhere, and second one is SSH, and I'll just make it anywhere for now. But normally what we should do is we should select my IP, but just for testing we're going with it, not recommended in production. Okay, and then see, all looks good. Let's create this. Okay, this looks good. Perfect. Then we will create an RDS security group. Let me copy the name. Another security group. So this one is for my DB. And it is going to the same employee VPC, the big one. And what do we have to add here? Just a MySQL port for inbound. No outbound for now. So I'll select MySQL and Aurora. So port number you see here 3306. So that's the port number for MySQL. And and then it looks good. I'll create it. Oh, I have to do entire traffic, but I will just do a custom from my employee app web security. So see, this is important because we are now creating a private connection here, so it will only access it from this part. Okay, looks good. All good. So this is also created. Okay, then so the next step is we have to go to RDS service and do some setup there. Open the RDS in another tab. Okay, first we will create a subnet group for it. So this is from my previous demo, but I will create a new one here. Let's call it yes. Description we will choose the same employee app. Why is it not showing? Yeah, it's here 78853. So don't get confused in this and that. Those are another ones. So that is just empty. You see no subnets available in here. Okay, so remember we created two availability zones for the private. So this is where we are going to use it, and it will ask here what do you want. So we want private 1 and private 2, and then that looks good. This will be created. Okay, so we are good. Now we'll go and create the actual database. Close these. So we will create a standard. What are we going to create? MySQL Community Edition, MySQL 8 and above. We are using it only for development and test purposes. Then we are going to give it a name. Let me copy the name from my file which I created. This is my name. Let me just give random password. Okay, and then I'm just going with the D class, R class I think. I'm going with the db.d3. Standard instance classes. Let me just check my db.d3 micro. d3.micro. I'll just go to d3. Let me just select the very basic one. db.d3. These are m classes. I think I need to just select. I think standard create template and then db.d3.micro. Let me just see what's happening here. Okay, so we are in this, and then the basic one. Then it comes under the object optimized db.d3. Created yesterday. Let me just see. Why is it not showing that feature? just select a very basic one for now. Keep it to 20 gigs. We are not connecting, and here we are just selecting our employee app. No public access. I think we cannot give public access. Then the BPC we have to choose is employee app DBSG. Yes, no default. And firewall employee app DB subnet. That's correct. That is okay. Let's see, port is very well defined, and boom, boom, boom. All looks good. Let's just create it. Anyways, I'm going to just delete it, so let's just create it. Typing Malbin 3. Okay. Let me just pause it for a second.